All right, shalom, shalom. Before I get started, I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Yahawahshi, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. This the brother Yahawah, here with another hopeful, edifying lesson to the elect body of Yahawah, Ba'ashem, Yahawahshi. The name of this video is Genesis, the beginning. And I'm inspired to do this video because I saw yesterday one of the elders, which his name is not important, do a lesson on this very topic. So I felt inspired to do so due to two videos that popped in my feed right after I saw his video, right? And it's a topic that, it was plantation Christianity thinks in a way of mythology, Greek mythology. That's how they try to explain it, especially the book of Genesis, the first couple chapters. It's like more or less Greek mythology of a pagan source, right? But this is the true understanding of it, right? This is it says the creation. That's the title, right? It even got some precepts up there, which we're gonna go to St. John chapter 1 through 5, right? It says, in the beginning, the Most High, Salakia. In the beginning, the Alahayim. I'm gonna read it verbatim, Salakia. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. See, that word God has a dual meaning, right? So it means Alahayim, which is in the plural sense, right? Which go to the word, it says Elohim, but that's not correct. The Paleo Hebrew, it's Alahayim, which is plural, like where it got from, like where it says in the outline of biblical usage, it says plural. Plural means more than one. Rulers, judges, divine ones, angels, gods. So that's what it is. It was gods, plural, in the beginning. That created the heavens and earth. Was Yahawahshi, Hamashiach, the Messiah, was the first creation, right? So Yahawah, which is the Father, the Heavenly Father, created Yahawahshi, and Yahawahshi was given a diagram of what to create. So he created the angels, which is the Alahayim, that help him create the rest of the world, the earth and the heavens, right? And to prove that Yahawahshi, the Messiah, was the first creation, we're gonna go to the book of St. John. The book of St. John, chapter 1, verse 1. It says, in the beginning was the Word. We know the Word is Yahawahshi, the Messiah. And the Word was power, right? So like in the beginning was the Word, Yahawahshi, and the Word was with the Most High, Yahawah. And the Word was, it says God, but it says it's supposed to be he's a God, meaning God means power, right? It says in the beginning was the Messiah. He was the first creation, right? And the word of Messiah was with Yahawah, which is the Father. And the word was a power, right? So in the beginning, he's the first creation, right? Verse 2, the same was in the beginning with the Most High, right? So he was in the beginning, he was with the Most High, right? Yahawah, the Father. Verse 3, it says, all things were made by him, right? Was made by who? Yahawah, Yahawahshi. All things were made by him, Yahawahshi, and without him was not anything made that was made. So Yahawahshi, the Messiah, created the Alahayim, which is the gods, and the gods with Yahawahshi created the heavens and the earth, right? So it's verse 2, it says the earth was without form and was void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, right? So the earth was without form and void, meaning it was in its elementary stages or elements, right? It was elements out there in darkness, right? The earth was without form, so it wasn't created, it wasn't formed, it was just elements and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, right? And the spirit of the Most High moved upon the face of the waters, right? So that word waters means elements. So the spirit of Yahweh, the Alahayim, moved upon the faces of the waters, meaning that the waters meaning elements, right? So everything was in this element element form, right? Go to the tables of elements, you know. Table of elements, right? So you can see, you know. So basically, that's what it was. Let me see. So these various elements that you see here, that was basically what was out there. It's just elements. Everything was in the element form. You everything breaks down to elements. So that's what it was, right? So everything was in the form of elements. And Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, the Alahayim, which is the gods, move upon the face of the waters, right? So there was no form. The earth was without form and void, right? Verse, right? So they moved and created what you see, the earth, the other planets, the other and the galaxies, you know, that's how they were created. It was in the element form, right? Verse 3, it says, and yet in the Alahayim said, let there be light, and there were light, right? And the Alahayim saw the light, and it was good. and the Alahayim divided the light from the darkness, right? So, and these lights are the sun and the moon, right? And that's why on the planet Earth, there's a portion where there's light. There's a area there's an area where there's um there's light, and then there's an area where it's dark, where it's night, right? It's like real quick. All right, I'm back. Like I was saying, verse 4 again. It says, "And the Alahayim saw the light, and the light was good," meaning it was to what Yahawah through um his and the Alahayim saw the light, and the light was good, meaning it was good, and meaning it was to what Yahawah the Father instructed, right? So gave Yahawahshi instructions, and he created the other gods, the other Alahims, which is Alahayim, meaning gods, the other angels, and they created the earth the way Yahawah directed them, the instructions, right? So that's why I said it was good, right? Because it was to what he said. It says in the Alahayim, verse 4 again, right? It says, "And the Alahayim saw the light, and the light was good. And the Alahayim divided the light from the darkness." That's why on the planet Earth, there's a there's there's a division. On one side, it'll be light, the sun is shining, and on the other side, other hemisphere, it'll be dark, or it'll be dark, so to speak, right? It'll be dark in certain areas, and it'll be light in another area, right? That's why it says verse 5 in the Alahayim called the light day, and the darkness he he called it night, right? In the evening and the morning was the first day, right? So, Yahweh created Yahawahshi, the first creation, John 1, St. John 1 and 1, right? Yahawahshi created the angels, and Yahawahshi and the angels created everything else, right? Through the instructions from Yahawah, the Heavenly Father, right? Verse 6, and it says, "And the Alahayim said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters," right? Elements, "and let it divide the waters from the waters," right? Let it divide the earth, which was without void, was formed, right? So that's when the earth was made. So the firmament, meaning the ozone layer, right? And the Van Allen belt, what they call the Van Allen belt, that radioactive belt, which they say you can't penetrate it. There's no way of getting through the Van Allen belt, and that was basically a safety barrier, so that outer elements of space, which is the the air is thinner because everything there, everything out there in the darkness, um, is more or less in this element, or more or less in this element stages still. That's why the air is thinner, and it was a safety barrier. Was the firmament is the ozone layer, the Van Allen belt that was created. So the other um the divide the waters from the waters, meaning the elements that was outside of the earth couldn't interfere, you know. 'Cause that's why you see they what they say comics or whatever, you know, which you know those are chariots or whatever, you know. So it basically is basically a safety barrier to prevent um the elements from space from entering the earth atmosphere. Basically, you know, that's the firmament, is the ozone layer, right? Verse 4 says, in the most high, so like I said, the most high, the Alahayim saw the light, and the light was good, and the Alahayim divided the light from the darkness, right? Verse 5, it says, the Alahayim called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day, right? It says on verse 6, it says, and the Alahayim said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters, right? So that, like I said, is the that's the ozone layer, the Van Allen belt, the radioactive belt, is a protective barrier for the earth. Verse 7, it says, and Elohim made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament, the earth, right, from the waters which was above the firmament, and it was so, right? That's the, you know, that's what the firmament is, right? Verse 8, and it says, in the firmament, in the Elohim called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day, right? So there's three types of heavens, or uh, there's three levels to heaven, so to speak, right? I Google, right? It says I Google beyond outer space. Beyond outer space is the third heaven. That's what I Google, right? It says yes, in biblical cosmology, the phrase beyond outer space is the third heaven, referring to the Most High Yahawah dwelling place in paradise, a spiritual realm beyond physical creation, distinct from the first heaven, the atmosphere, right? And the second heaven, outer space, right? So there's three heavens. I'm just gonna give you an example from the Apostle Paul went to the third heaven, right? It says the Apostle Paul described being caught up in the third heaven, 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 2 and 4, a place of inexpressible glory in the Most High's throne, in, a, in inaccessible by physical means like rockets, but accessible spiritually by believers through Yahawahshi, right? But all spirits go back to the Heavenly Father, right? So when you out of the body, like it says in the scriptures, to be absent from the body is to be, the Apostle Paul said it, to be absent from the body is to be present with Yahawah or the Lord, right? So when whenever you die, your spirit go back to the Heavenly Father. So it says the three heavens in biblical thought. It says the first heaven, the sky, atmosphere, where birds fly and rain fall, right? First heaven. The second heaven, outer space, contains the sun, moon, stars, and planets, right? The third heaven, the spiritual, transcendent realm of the Most High Yahawah presence, also called paradise beyond physical uh, dimensions, right? So that's why that's what the firmament was made for, to separate the elements of the outer space from the earth, right? Verse 8, it says that Elohim called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day, right? It says, and the Elohim said, let the waters, let the waters under the heaven be gathered into one place, and let the dry land appear, and it was so, right? So that's the earth being the land, the earth being created, right? And the Elohim said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together into one place, right? That's the sea, and let the dry land appear, and it was so. So, that's the earth being formed, separating the waters from under the firmament, under the heaven, the first heaven, which is the atmosphere, separating the earth from the sea. Verse 3, and it says, and the Elohim called the dry land earth, and gathered together of the waters called the seas, and the Elohim saw it, and it was good. So, meaning again, it was to what the instructions of Yahawah gave Yahawahshi to do. And Yahawahshi created the angels, and they created the earth, and how it's formed today. The heavens and the earth, the galaxies, so forth and so on, right? And it makes sense because I got a video. Like I said, I got a video that I'm gonna show you, and basically it goes right along with what the elder was saying, describing, and giving the understanding, right? Verse 11, it says, and the Elohim said, let the earth bring forth grass and herb, yielding seed, and the fruit, and a fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind. those seeds, those seed, so like Yahu's seed is in itself upon the earth, and it was so, right? So that's why, everything has a seed, plants, and animals, so it can reproduce, right? But how the world is being ran under the wicked, you know, everything is fruitless, to your fruits and vegetables, even to human uh, human population. They having methods that you can create babies in tubes. What is called? I can't remember. I can't remember. I'm trying to recall what it's called, but they're basically you can create a baby within an artificial womb, you know, and they have created a sheep or something like that. They had done it already. They put a sheep in an artificial womb, and and it was created like use like test tube. It's a test tube, and you can create a baby in an artificial womb. You know, so this devil is he's the antichrist, or Satan, which Satan means adversary. You know, he's against everything that Yahweh Shai is. You know, Yahweh Shai is pro-life. This devil is anti-life, right? So that's why you see uh, uh, 3D printed meats, you know, GMO foods, fruits and vegetables without seed, because people want to complain about the seeds. Oh, I don't want to eat it with a seed. So so this devil makes things without seed, right? Because he's anti-life, anti-Hamashiach, right? Verse 12, and it says, the earth brought forth grass and herb, yielding seed after his kind, and a tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And the Alahayim saw, and it was good. So, meaning what? It was to the instructions of Yahawah, right? So that's why, you know, and it makes sense, right? The Yahawah, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Yahawah gave instructions that all things must have seed to reproduce, right? Verse 13, it says, in the evening and the morning were the third day, right? Verse 14, it says, and the Alahayim said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years, right? And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so, right? Verse 16, and the Alahayim made two great lights, and a greater light to rule the day, which is the sun, and a lesser light to rule the night, which is the moon. He made the stars also, right? So that's why you see what you see, you know, and the sun is the greater light for the day. The sun and the moon is the lesser light for the night, right? And also the stars that you see. Verse 17, and the Alahayim set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, right? The second heaven, right? Verse verse 18, and it ruled over the day and over the night, and it divided the light from the darkness. And the Alahayim saw it, and it was good, right? To the instructions of Yahawah, right? Verse 19, and the evening and the morning were the fourth day. So these things were created in the fourth day. When it Salakias, I forgot to mention, a day to the Lord is 1,000 years, right? So the first day was 1,000 years. The second day is the second 1,000 years. The third day was the third 1,000 years. The fourth day, meaning the fourth thousand in the 4,000 years, in the fourth 1,000 years, right? So these 4,000, we're right now in the fourth day, meaning the fourth 1,000 year, you know, in the year of the 4,000 years, all right? Uh, let's see. 1,000 years. 1,000 years. This is a precept on Psalms 90 and 4. It says, "For 1,000 years in thy sight are but as yesterday," right? 1,000 years, that was like yesterday. Salakia. Psalms 90 and 4 says, "For 1,000 years in thy sight are but as yesterday when it is past, and as a watch in the night," right? The other precept. How was it? This is Second Peter's chapter 3 and 8. It says, "But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day," right? So that's to prove that, verse 20, it says, "And Yahawah said, let the waters bring forth abundantly, and moving creatures, and Salakia, and the Alahayim said, let the waters bring forth abundantly, and the moving creature that have life, and the fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of the heaven," right? So all things was created during this time, right? Man, beast was made from the water, right? That's why they said we're 90, 80, mostly water, right? Where body is made up of mostly water, 90% or something like that. I might be not correct on the percentage, but the body, the body is mainly water, right? They show you that, and they even tell you that in school, right? They tell you that in school, right? That the body is mostly water. It says, "And the Alahayim said, let the waters bring forth abundantly, and the moving creature that have life, and the fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament," right? So everything was created, man, from the waters, right? Man too, right? Creature. Man is a creature, a creation, right? Verse 12, it says, "And the Elohim created great whales, and every living creature that moveth," right? "Which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And the Elohim saw it, and it was good," right? I got a video I want to bring out. Stop it at that verse 21. And I want to play this video here where it says the secrets of water. This is one of the videos that came about when I was watching the video. After I watched the elders video.
secrets of water. What is water? A good question that is not easy to answer. It is basically and almost unbelievably an unknown phenomenon, but because it's the second most important element on Earth, it would certainly be worth respecting and exploring. What we know is a drop, what we don't know is an ocean. Water is vital to life on Earth, so let's look at it from all perspectives. Then we might get a little closer to the true essence of water. Come with me on a journey to look at water from all angles. Water is called H2O by chemists and has one negatively charged oxygen atom and two positively charged hydrogen atoms.
See, there was two elements, H2O. It says negatively charged H2O and two positive, meaning the elements. It was two elements put together form water, right? Or three. You know, one part hydrogen, two parts oxygen, which are elements put together to create water, right?
This results in an attractive and repulsive force, the natural polarity, which can also be seen as the dance of life. Water is philosophically seen as a destructive force, but also kind and nourishing. On the energetic level, water is a carrier of energy. The medical view is limited to the role of transport, and the industrial approach is that water can produce energy. Spiritually and throughout all world religions, water is recognized as the source of everything.
So
Science
you heard that? Spiritually and through all religions, water is the source of all things, right? So basically, that's why I was, um, you know, when I was reading it, verse 20, like the elders explained, it says all thing was created out of the water. Verse Genesis 1 and 20 again, it says, and the Alahayim said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature, which man is a creature. I mean, right? Man is a creature. All things are creatures, right? Meaning it was created. It don't just mean a beast or an animal. Man is also a creature, right? It says, and the Alahayim said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that have life, and a fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. And the Alahayim created the whales and every living creature that moveth, right? Meaning man also, beast. They was created out of the water, right? Which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And the Alahayim saw it, and it was good, right? So that's what it was explaining there. That water is important, and it says water is important, and all religions said that water is the source of life, basically. This is Bawanda.
spiritually and throughout all world religions, water is recognized as the source of everything. Science
Says that water is recognized as the source of everything, meaning life, right? Through all religions, because it's true.
Spiritually and throughout all world religions, water is recognized as the source of everything. Scientifically, however, water is definitely a rebel and drives researchers crazy because it behaves differently from other substances on almost all levels, like expanding in the cold, losing weight in solid form, and freezing from top to bottom. One of the important
It says
indications of
it drives
nature.
scientists crazy. Yeah, these devils, they want to figure out everything, man. So they can play like they God, and they can, you know, which Yahawah Shai gave them limited. knowledge, because they go use it wickedly. You see it right now. These pseudoscience. They're coming about and creating things through pseudoscience and um, portraying it as actual science, which is not. It's false science, right? So these devils manipulate things, and that's why they try to figure things out. So like so they can make it seem like they're gods on the earth, which they're the Yahawah Bashim Yahushua gave them the devils Esau Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, devil, God complex, but he's limited, right? On the left hand side, through wickedness, he's playing God, right? Like I was saying before, that's why you got GMO foods or bioengineered foods, uh, these clone meats, 3D printed meats, you know, and things of that nature. He gather up substances to say the least, or he gather up these so-called ingredients and put it together, which are not food, and he'll create what they call food out of these uh, out of a science project. Basically, he'll concoct these ingredients, so to speak, and make it seem like it's food, but it's not food, right? So it says they drive. He driving these scientists mad. That's why the scriptures say he frustrated the devices of the crafty. You know, called more or less these devils are using their know-how in a nefarious or evil way, in wickedness. They're using it in an evil way. The knowledge that they obtain.
Infinite intelligence in weight because it is recognized as the source of everything. Scientifically, however, water is definitely a rebel and drives researchers crazy because it behaves differently from other substances on almost all levels, like expanding in the cold, losing weight in solid form, and freezing from top to bottom. One of the important indications of nature's infinite intelligence whereby it protects the living underwater world. Water forms the bridge between matter and energy. Let's take a closer look at the conventional medical view. Water transports vital elements through bodily fluids such as blood, sweat, and urine, but also removes waste and toxins by means of diarrhea and vomiting. With the new scientific views, however, the role of water in our body becomes more interesting, such as edema formation during repair work, which we call inflammation but actually indicates healing. There is now more and more evidence that water carries information, such as in the essences of homeopathy, even that our water has memories, for example, in the form of traumas. But the most fascinating thing is that it can communicate. So, considering the knowledge of our indigenous people, is water alive and filled with wisdom?
So that's it's beautiful, man. I haven't seen this whole video, but I might put it in the description box. And you can take a look at it if you would like. The secrets of water, and it says it contains wisdom. Why? Because Yahweh Bashim Yahushua created it, and all things, meaning man, all creatures, meaning man also, were created out of the waters, right? So, and I also got another video I wanna play also. Genesis 1:21 again. It says, in the Alahayim, meaning the gods, created great whales and every living creature that moveth, meaning man also, which the waters brought forth abundantly, and all the beasts also, the beasts of the earth, the creeping things, all things was created out of the water. After their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And the Alahayim saw it, and it was good, meaning what? To the liking of Yahawah. his instructions, right? 22, and it says, and Elohim blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters and the seas, and let the fowl multiply in the earth. And the evening and the morning were the fifth day, right? Verse 24, and it says, and the Elohim said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and beast of the earth after his kind, and it was so. Verse 25, and it says, and the Elohim made a beast of the earth after his kind, and the cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And the Elohim saw it, and it was good, right? Verse 26, and it says, and the Elohim said, let us make man in our image, right? Meaning, what is meaning? It says, in our image. And it says, and God, or Elohim, said, let us, meaning more than one, plural, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, right? And let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the earth, and over the cattle, and over the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Right? So there was a point of time that all life form, meaning these animals, from that was afraid of man, right? At one point of time, in the beginning, you know, that's why the Lord made dominion, gave man dominion over the earth, and all animals, creeping things, fowl, all beasts other than man was afraid of man, right? That's was at the beginning, which is going to go back to that in the new heaven and the new earth, right? But after the fall of man, coming from Eve, and coming from Eve being deceived by the serpent, and also Adam, you know everything was uh, everything became upside down, right? The, things started gradually. The beast started, not being afraid of man, and they at the beginning, everybody was vegetarians, right? They was only eating herbs, and there was no meat eaters at the beginning, right? But after the flood, Noah, that's when um everyone, human and animal, started eating meat after the flood, after what they call Noah's flood, you know. That's when everything before the flood was vegetarian, so to speak, herbs and fruits. That's all that was eaten. The lions, they never ate meat, or any other of these predatory animals, you know, bears, uh, leopards, whatever. They didn't eat meat. Genesis 1:27, it says, so so the Elohim created man in his own image. In the image of Elohim created he him, male and female created he them, right? There's only two genders, right? Madness, all the other shit is madness, man. Confusion and madness. Verse 28, and it says, and the Elohim blessed them, and the Elohim said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over it, and so have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the earth, over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth, right? So like I said at the beginning, all creatures, animals, they was fearful of mankind, right? That's the way Yahweh designed it. Verse 29, it says, and the Alahayim said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat, right? Like I said, that's they were everybody, animals, humans, they only ate vegetation, fruits, and herbs, right? Verse 30, and it says, and every beast of the earth, and every fowl of the air, and everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so, right? And this the fifth day, right? And the Alahayim saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And every in the evening and the morning was the sixth day, right? So then that's when the sixth day came about, the 6,000 year. But everything was created in the fifth day, meaning man, beast, and everything else. All that was created on the fifth day. But then after after the fifth day, the sixth day, the 6,000 year happened, right? So all things was created in the fifth day. No, everything was created by the water, through the water abundantly. And also I seen this video here.
It's so brand new, year 26 with Battleship. Love the way you feel. Diagram, but as a but
There's this video here because everything has a spirit and it has a light, and that's a spirit and that's energy. And this video here also came into my feed the same day, and I saw it through the spirit, because the elder was basically mentioning that, like, even when the sperm cell, when it, you can research this, when the sperm cell hit the egg, you will see a light when that sperm cell hit the egg, right? And that's a spirit. That's a spirit of life, But these scientists, so called, they'll say it's something else. They'll give it some type of other scientific meaning, but it's a spirit. It's a spirit. It's a life form. You see a spark or a light, and that basically is life. You know, it says the most mysterious language on earth isn't human. Right? You see that?
there are mysterious holes in the story of life. Not black holes, not plot holes, knowledge holes. Gaps in our understanding so large, they're almost invisible. So foundational, we rarely even think to question them. We say life comes from DNA, and DNA is a code. But that raises a question most people don't stop to ask. If it's a code, who's reading it? If life is just molecules bouncing around in warm puddles, how do those molecules know what to do with a string of letters?
See, our those molecules, Esau and his wickedness. He'll say he'll try to give an explanation of evolution, but Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, like Yahweh gave Yahawahshi, the Messiah that was created in the beginning, the blueprint. That's how things know the form, how it's formed. Cause it was instructions by the Heavenly Father Yahweh given to Yahawahshi, the Messiah, the first created being, the first the first creature created. So like you're the first creature created, right? And he created the angels, and the angels help the angels with Yahawah created all things, all th- everything else, and it's going the way as instructed by Yahawah. You know, that's how this. You know, and they talking about how does it know to do what it's doing because it's already been instructed. It's already been put together that way. You know,
If life is just molecules bouncing around in warm puddles, how do those molecules know what to do with a string of letters? Who decided A, T, C, and G should mean anything at all?
the Lord
And why would
Yahawah
life
Yahawah did. You know, because these devils they don't believe that they got a belief system of evolution. They ain't just created out of nothing. The Big Bang theory, they ain't just appeared out of um, random, randomly. I guess however they explain it. That's how they believe believe things came to be through some random selection.
need a code in the first place? Some scientists say the code works because the chemistry lines up, the shapes fit, the reactions happen. Others think there's more to it, that the chemistry only works because it's part of a larger system of meaning. So, what are we actually seeing when we look at DNA? A molecule or a message? This video explores something strange and quietly radical, the idea that life isn't just chemistry, it's interpretation. That what makes life possible is not just stuff, but meaning. And maybe meaning came first.
And that's beautiful. Meaning came first, right? Meaning means what? Instruction. We're gonna look up the word meaning. Because like it is, there would let me just look it up. I looked up what does meaning mean. It says what does meaning mean? It says a meta a meta question asks a meta so like a meta question asking for the definition, purpose, significance, or or import of something, usually a word, phrase, symbol, or action, essentially asking what is its core message, or what is it trying to convey. The word meaning itself refers to the intended message or an inherent sense of something, right? It says the intended message. So there was a message given, instructions given, right? Or inherent sense of something, encom- encompassing literal definition, the denotation, the associated feeling or feelings slash ideas, right? Definition slash import. It says dictionary, the dictionary definition or ideal. So like the dictionary definition or the ideal a word represents, right? Intention or purpose. It says what someone intends to convey, right? So that's it. What's It says what someone intends or conveys, right? An example, do not mistake the meaning. So basically that's what it is, right? It was a as a meaning, as a there was instructions, right? What someone intended to convey. So what the Lord intended to convey, meaning these instructions that was given to Yahawah. Yahweh gave Yahawah instructions, meaning to make things the way he instructed. So basically what he's saying is true. Life, everything, how did he say it? It was created by meaning. Basically, there was instructions. There was meaning. The things are the way they are because it means to be that way, right? There's meaning to it because Yahweh intended it for it to be this way, right?
Explores something strange and quietly radical, the idea that life isn't just chemistry, it's interpretation. That what makes life possible is not just stuff, but meaning. And maybe meaning came first. Something strange
So he said,
and quietly radical.
so he says meaning came first, which is true. Instructions came first, right? The Lord Yahweh Bashim outside gave instructions. That's why things are the way they are, meaning, right? It's intended to be the way it is.
The idea that life isn't just chemistry, it's interpretation. That what makes life possible is not just stuff, but meaning. And maybe meaning came first. Let's begin with a thought.
And look at that. The comment, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with the Most High, and the Word was a power, which is Yahweh. We just read that. That's St. John 1:1, right? In the comments, that's the Spirit, because that's true, right? And it was meaning because it was instructed. There was instructions given to Yahweh Shai by the Heavenly Father to create things, and Yahweh Shai went about it the way, along with the angels, the way that Yahweh intended it to be, right? The meaning was given.
Experiment. Imagine being the first human to draw on a cave wall, to leave behind a mark that stood for something else, a hunt, a spirit, a memory. That's where code begins, when a thing becomes a sign. Even infants do this. A baby hears a bell ring every time milk comes, and soon the bell alone makes them expect food. One thing standing in for another. That's the start of code. But is this just a human thing? Or could nature itself be full of signs, waiting to be read? Let's follow that scent, literally. Smell, that invisible, emotional, and ancient sense, might hold clues to life's earliest attempts to make sense of its surroundings. Before we dive into that, though, think about something as ordinary as a string of emojis. Rocket ship galaxy Earth. Without even trying, your brain reaches for meaning. Rocket, moon, Earth, maybe a journey, a feeling, a story. That's your mind recognizing a code. One thing pointing to another. Codes are all around us. Morse code turns dots and dashes into letters. Musical notation turns marks on paper into music. Road signs convert color and shape into instructions. Red means stop. Triangles mean caution. A skull and crossbones warns of poison, whether or not you speak the language. These are systems that rely on shared recognition. And in biology, DNA letters become amino acids, which fold into proteins, the machinery of life. But how does a molecule mean anything? There's no physical law that connects AUG to methionine. That link isn't built into the universe. So where did it come from?
Did you see that? See that light when it separated? The two molecules separated, multiplied, divided. There was a light there, and that's a spirit. Let's see it, show it again.
There's no physical law that connects AUG to methionine. That link isn't built into the universe. So where did it come from? Biologist Marcello Barbieri says the genetic code isn't just metaphor. It's a true code, a symbolic system that needs an interpreter.
God damn these commercials.
Add the perfect touch of tart to sweet holiday memories. Simply say yes to simple.
But who or what is doing the interpreting inside a cell? There's no tiny librarian flipping through a DNA manual, no inner voice saying, this part means make insulin. Instead, it's ribosomes and tRNAs doing the work. Molecular machines, mindless and ancient, that somehow managed to follow instructions.
Wow, mindless, ancient machines that's following instructions, right? Because they was created from the beginning to do what they do, even to present day. These molecules, they was given instructions by Yahawah Yahushua to do what they're doing. There was instructions given, right? That's beautiful. Listen,
And tRNAs doing the work. No inner voice saying, this part means make insulin. Instead, it's ribosomes and tRNAs doing the work. Molecular machines, mindless and ancient, that somehow managed to follow instructions. tRNAs in particular are fascinating. They're like plug adapters, matching one shape to another, a codon on one end, an amino acid on the other. They don't understand what they're doing, but the match is everything. So how do we get from meaningless molecules to meaningful messages? Barbieri suggests it comes down to function. Evolution found a pattern that worked and built on it. The system didn't need to know what it was doing. It just had to survive.
yeah, like I said, that's how Esau explained it. But there's the reason why things are the way they are, move the way they do, is because they was instructed to do so by Yahawah Bashim Yahushua, right? Everything was given instructions. Yahweh, the Father gave Yahushua the Messiah instructions, um, and that's to create all things from the molecular, you know, the elements, which Yahweh evidently created, you know, to these even to the molecular structure. They are instructed to do what they're doing, and it ain't just by evolution or by some type of random selection, you know. So I'm gonna end it off there. I hope it was edifying to the elect, and I want to say, call Halayamah, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah, Bashim Rakakadash, Shalom. Till the next time, Yahweh Rathazah, which means Lord willing, and Why Abba Babal.